Bring in our acting TSA Deputy Administrator, Adam Stahl. Sir, it's great to have you with me this morning.
Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, so we heard Marcus talking about the possibility of airports actually being forced to shut down. I wonder whether or not this is not just messaging that's meant to scare some of those lawmakers who are in charge of actually getting the job done. What about this line of messaging? Is this a real possibility, or is this just essentially a threat? If it is real, then which airports are really at risk here, and when would that happen?
Yeah, so this is not alarmism. This is a reality, so we're gonna make an airport by airport determination. But for a lot of these smaller airports, with few lanes, few staff, with possibly 10 staff, having 2 or 3 or 4 folks call out, we're not going to degrade security. So we may have to temporarily halt operations again to maintain high security standards. And so we're going to continue to see significant impacts if the Senate Democrats don't come to the table.
And so what's going on right now, ladies and gentlemen, is we have TSA workers who they're being forced to make life-altering decisions, quitting their job due to this government shutdown, not receiving a paycheck. Same time, you have entire airports that are at risk of being shut down due to the lack of workers there to run and make sure it can actually be run safely. Meanwhile, you have Timu Obama, Walmart, Dollar Tree, Discount Rack Obama himself, Hakeem Jeffries, and Democrats continuing to come up with new excuses as to why they refuse to reopen the government. And so we are going to break all of it down. As always, go ahead and smash that thumbs up button, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoy the content. And to stay locked in for when I drop future videos, subscribe to the channel and make sure you turn on your notifications. That way YouTube always remembers to remind you when I drop. Let's get right into it.
Procedural vote underway in the Senate, which is expected to fail. This has to do with DHS funding once again, but we're looking at the numbers right now. Democrats are voting no on it. Democrats are expected to block it yet again. So where are we? 5 weeks now into this shutdown of DHS, and there is little to no optimism here on the Hill that this is going to get fixed anytime soon. And the Senate has been busy. They've been doing these nonstop debates on the Senate floor about the Save America Act, but they've also been going at it about this DHS funding drama. And yesterday we saw Senators Moreno and Slotkin clashing as Senator Moreno pitched a short-term 2-week funding bill for all of DHS while these negotiations are ongoing, while Slotkin countered by shooting it down, saying she only wants TSA funded. Take a listen.
What this means? I mean, these debates, in my opinion, they're useless at this point, at least. The only thing that's going to change or end this is the same thing that worked before. Democrats feeling enough pressure from their constituents to fully reopen the government and stop playing these games. Plain and simple. Other than that, a debate is really just for the media's political theater, because Republicans aren't going to convince Democrats to change their minds just with words. That's not going to be enough. They'll just keep coming up with more excuses like yours truly, Timu Obama, who is never short on them. Take a listen.
What's your message to TSA workers who are going without paychecks, people who are suffering in these long lines preparing to travel, who don't care about the finger pointing, who don't care about the politics, they just want Congress to get to some solution? What do you say to them? Why can't this be figured out?
We should be able to get this done today. All Speaker Johnson needs to do is bring the legislation to the floor that will pay TSA agents and reopen the parts of the Department of Homeland Security that have nothing to do with ICE and have nothing to do with Trump's extreme and violent mass deportation machine. That's all that needs to happen. And yet, House Republicans and Senate Republicans have consistently rejected paying TSA agents. Why? It's because they don't support getting ICE under control. This is their policy. It's Trump's policy. It's Stephen Miller's policy to use taxpayer dollars to brutalize or kill American citizens, as we've seen with the cold-blooded killings of Renee Nicole Good and Alex Preddy. And the American people want that to stop.
The reality is the Trump administration and Republicans have been willing to negotiate, have been willing to concede on a few issues when it comes to DHS, when it comes to how they operate, and Democrats have not wanted to budge on anything. Expanded body-worn cameras. These are a few things that the Trump White House has offered. Expanded body-worn cameras. limit enforcement operations at sensitive locations such as hospitals, schools, and churches, increase oversight of detention facilities, making it easier for Congress and independent reviews, require visible officer identification. Agents must wear clear ID and identify themselves. Not to mention, Bovino is out, Tom Homan is in. Not to mention, Kristi Noem is out. She's been replaced. And so this isn't a situation where the Trump administration isn't budging or giving anything. This seems to be a situation where Democrats just want it all. And the problem seems to be a disconnect because while you have a vast majority of Americans who are forced to deal with this issue in real time if they are traveling, Congress, on the other hand, they get to skip the line and get personally escorted to the front. Check this out real quick. It says Congresswoman Mace and Wasserman Schultz leaving D.C. for the weekend. Is she really even on her phone? I doubt it. Being able to get escorted to the front of the line, no worries. Don't have to wait through TSA. Here goes another Congresswoman. Escorted, front of the line, and these people are pretty unrecognizable out in public, so a vast majority of Americans don't know this person is a sitting congressperson as they walk through the airport, or else I'm sure they wouldn't be able to walk through the airport so freely without being confronted for what they're doing as far as to the American people. And so while you have Congress skipping the line, able to avoid all the chaos, you have a whopping 400 TSA agents that have resigned due to this government shutdown, as they have not been able to receive a paycheck and are forced to depend on donations. And so let's check this out.
I want to take a look at this video I quickly filmed on my phone. There were actually some TSA agents holding boxes of donations of food, household supply. One agent, as they were passing us, said, "We're so grateful to our community for being able to support us in this way during a time where they aren't being paid." We also know from TSA that nearly 400 officers have quit their jobs altogether, and it takes about 4 to 6 months to completely train someone in one of these positions. So it's going to be some time before these airports are fully back up and operational. Chris?
Summer travel season will be here before we know it. Maya Eaglin.
TSA employees are working without pay. Many are coping with eviction notices and overdrawn bank accounts. Every available financial option has been exhausted. Yet these officers are still coming to work to protect the traveling public, facing disciplinary action if they do not show up to work.
Lawmakers, listen, we're not Republicans, we're not Democrats, we're not independents. We're just people that come to work every day to do our job. And all we expect you guys to do is do your job. Pay us for what we do. That's all we're asking. Passengers, listen, we're gonna do our job. We're gonna be professional. We're gonna get you through as fast as possible. There might be some delays. Here at DCA, we have a wonderful team. We're doing our job, we're doing our part. So listen, work with us, and we're going to work with you guys.
Listen, the reality is the elected officials that we put in the position to represent the people have done an excellent job of convincing the people that they actually don't have the power that they really do, because this could all end in a day. If TSA decided that, you know what, you're not going to play with my life, you're not going to play with my family's life, you're not going to play with my livelihood, and so we're just going to shut everything down across the board. We're going to shut it all down, and nobody comes in. All it would take is one day where they decide that, okay, and sure, it'll be a big inconvenience for Americans across the country, but I mean, would you work for no pay? Would you be continuing to go in and giving your all and working up to your expectation, and you haven't gotten paid, not for just a couple of days, but now weeks, nearly going on a month now, and it's the second time in less than 6 months. But, you know, right now, Republicans won't take the necessary action to force Democrats' hand and just do what needs to be done. And Democrats are willing to make the American people suffer. And so as a result, this is where we are at. Check it out.
Mondays, Fridays, and Saturday mornings are always busy here at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. And you look back here, you can see that 120-minute wait posted there, but that's not from this part of the line. That's from the up front part of it. We've already talked to the folks who are right there. they're probably going to miss their flight already. And we've been talking to folks in this line who are preparing themselves and got here early. I want to stop real quick, and I know I talked to you guys a little earlier. Nervous about making your flight? Yes or no? At this point?
Yes.
What has this been like?
Hot and just annoying.
I heard the word stressful. What does this feel like standing in this line, knowing that you may miss your flight?
Nerves. Like, I'm just nervous and scared. You know, we kind of want to get to where we're going, and it's like we're just waiting. Yeah. We've been stationary for the last 10 minutes, like no movement.
Thank you guys for sharing. Kate, I wanted to stop real quick because this was the end of the line yesterday, and we knew it was really long. We're going to take that walk now and go this way and show you. The line stops here at the end of the atrium, and then we just keep going. Let's not forget yesterday, 38% of the workforce here called out. We're not sure what that will mean today. So you see this line that stretches on for that main checkpoint. This is not where the timer even starts for that 120 minutes. The timer for that starts way back on the other side there. So if you're standing in this part of the line, which snakes around this direction, this is more than 2 hours at this point. Now they're trying to surge in as many workers as they can to help out. But as you see, when we get back to the other part of the airport, they have stacked people all the way around. And this is where it connects to the pre-check line. So you understand the pain point here for so many folks who will miss their flights. And depending on what airlines they are dealing with, some folks will be able to get rebooked. Others will have to kind of figure out if they're going to fly a different day. This is just the beginning of that rush hour. Now that it's slammed like this, it could extend a lot longer.
It's only going to get worse before it gets better because you'll continue to have more workers who are forced to make those tough life decisions on whether to continue to work for no pay or look for something that's a job that's going to pay them because they have responsibilities, family, maintaining a roof over their head. Bills still come and are due, and so that doesn't stop. The world keeps spinning whether we like it or not. And so understand what Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer and Democrats, what they're doing right now with their argument, with the narrative they're trying to push, where they're saying, well, we'll fund TSA. We've been pushing bills that'll get TSA funded today. That's what we've been trying to do this whole time. But it will only fund TSA. And so they don't want you to know how large the entire DHS really is, because then it'll pretty much blow up everything that they're talking about as far as making it sound like, okay, well, that doesn't logically make sense when you talk about the fact that, check this out, DHS is made up of, obviously, TSA, we know that one. Customer and Border Patrol Protection, we know about that one. ICE, yeah, we know about that one. But also U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, handles visas, green cards, and citizenship. We're also talking about FEMA, handles disaster relief, emergency management. We're talking about Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency, handles cyber threats, and election infrastructure protection. We're talking about the Secret Service. We're talking about the Office of Intelligence and Analysts. We're talking about the U.S. Coast Guard. We're talking about Science and Technology Directorate. And we're talking about the Federal Law Enforcement Training Centers. So them trying to minimize it as, well, we'll fund TSA and we could have everything going today, that just doesn't make any sense. That can't be where you start at when there are many agencies under the DHS umbrella that need to be funded in order to keep America safe, in order to protect, in order to make sure people can do their job and get paid. And so you heard what Hakeem Jeffries had to say earlier when confronted about funding DHS, funding the entire agency. Now let's hear what Chuck Schumer has to say. Take a listen.
Is it time to fund the DHS after 4 domestic suspected terror attacks have occurred? Is it time to fully fund it? If the Republicans don't agree to the ICE reforms that you guys want, all of them, what's the next step? How long are you willing to leave DHS unfunded?
Ask the Republicans.
All right, that was his answer, and I return serve to you.
And so even with innocent people hurting, being forced to have to make tough life-altering decisions such as quitting a job, finding a new one, Democrats are still willing to play political football with the lives of federal workers, the American people, instead of taking a step back saying, okay, you know what? We can't go about it this way. This affects far too many people who are getting caught in the crossfire. Nah, that doesn't really matter to the Democrats. Instead, what you're seeing is a disconnect between the people in Congress who are supposed to represent the people who elected them when it comes to making decisions, They're more caught up in their own self-interest, what benefits them politically rather than what actually benefits Americans. And Chuck Schumer is a prime example of how dangerous that can be, because Chuck Schumer knows exactly what he's doing. Yes, he does. But in my personal opinion, he simply just does not care. And so those are my thoughts in the update. Now let me hear from you. Drop your comment down below. As always, smash that thumbs up button. That's the best way to let me know you enjoy the content. For more content in the future, subscribe to the channel. And as always, until next time.